So if you know you need to post more consistent LinkedIn content to be perceived as an expert, to make selling and getting clients more easy, but you're just struggling to be consistent with it, or you're struggling to get going, like, you are in the right spot, right? Today, we're going to take you through how you can effortlessly create 3 to 5 pieces of content to ensure that you are being perceived as the best solution for your clients on the marketplace. So you go from sales calls where they're like, who are you? Sell me, to how can I start? Or they go from, I've clicked on so many ads, like, who are you again? To let's get going. I've been following you for ages. If that sounds pretty cool, you're in the right spot. Let's get into it. So the big 3, I'm going to say, guys, as a business owner that wants to grow, producing online content and marketing should be in the top 3 things that we focus on every single week, right? The other 2 are sales and managing the team. Or if you're still on the tools, then it's delivering the service. That's it. That's all you should be doing if you really want to grow the business. Everything else should be delegated, as it is not going to really move the needle for you. So consistent, high quality content is going to position you as the leader in your industry, or one of the key leaders in your industry. And once this happens, as I touched on at the start, everything becomes easier, right? From generating referral partners to closing clients, and just other opportunities come your way. They just flow because everyone wants to work, let's be honest, with the best, right? Yourself included. So if you agree with what I'm saying, just nod your head, and I'll feel the vibes through the interwebs. So in fact, I'm actually just going to draw you a diagram of all this, right? So firstly, we've got at the top, choosing who you work with, right? Down the bottom, we've got the position where you have to take care of anyone. On the left, you've got little awareness, all the way to being perceived as an expert on the right. Cool. So box 3 here, the bottom left, you've got little awareness, and you'll just take anyone, because you have to, right? If you're in this quadrant, you're either just starting out or you haven't invested in your marketing, right? As a result of these things, sales are hard. Yeah. Box 4, and as we go through this, you'll probably pretty quickly work out which box you're in, right? Box 4 is you've been going a while, you're doing some marketing, you're kind of being perceived as an expert, but the audience is just too damn small. So, sales are going okay, as I said, but there's not enough of them, and you're having to take anyone, right? You're having to take those clients you don't really like. They might be the really low value ones or the annoying ones, because you just have to. Box 1 here, the top left, you're in a situation where you can choose who you work with, but you don't have a lot of awareness. So people I chat to are in this box, they've been going a while, they might have been going a long while. A lot of them are connected to another firm that just feeds them. So they've got 1 or 2 good referral partners who just feed them leads. They're awesome leads. They love them. They're not having to do any little marketing as a result. They're kind of getting a bit lazy, if we're going to be straight. And sales are okay, but you're feeling a bit vulnerable, because if one of these people leave or sell their business, all of a sudden you're stuffed. You're up the proverbial creek without a paddle. Not good. Now, the box we want to be in is box 2, right? You're seen as an industry leader, like you choose who you work with, and you're being perceived as an expert, right? So in this box, you are an industry leader with large audience. Your marketing is dialed in. You're being seen often as, putting good content. You're out there often. And as a result, sales are pretty easy, and you choose who you work with. You're in a situation where you've got more demand than supply. So really, the idea with consistent content is to be able to push yourself into this box. And that's what we want to sort of help you with today. So given all of this, I'm assuming intuitively you probably know all this anyway, right? There's probably nothing super new here that I'm telling you. So the question then lies, why do so many of us start creating content, a blog, a podcast, social content, only to just stop doing it a few months later, right? You know who you are, right? So I believe the reason it happens and we stop is because we haven't prioritized this as a need. It's kind of like if I find time, it's a want to do thing, right? It's a want, not a need. So we need to turn it from a want into a need, right? This is the difference. Needs are things like water, oxygen. I mean, JFK, when he famously said, "We are going to land a man on the moon," it was a line in the sand moment, right? It was a decision that they said, whatever it takes, we're going to get there, right? It's a flag in the ground, whatever saying you want to use. But it was something that just had to happen because they knew it had to happen to get to their goal. And on the flip side, a want is, if I get the time, I'll do it. But if we're real with ourselves, the real reason we've all started and stopped these things in the past is because we've been in this want category. So really, we need to move it into the need, right? We're going to circle back on that later, but I just want to leave that in the back of your mind because that's really important for you to actually follow through with anything I say today. Now, the next question is, I need to create content to be perceived as an expert, but what the hell do I create? How do I make it interesting? How do I do it without repeating myself? All that good stuff. So let's flip it on its head. Let's talk about what we don't want to do, right? Firstly, we don't want to just talk about ourselves. We don't want to be that person. We've all got a friend or an ex-friend who is like that. No one wants to hang around with those people. And obviously we don't want to be just selling stuff. No one likes that person. We just don't want to create vanilla chat GPT content. Like the internet is just getting full with vanilla chat GPT content that no one reads, right? We don't want to read it. So why should we put someone else or make someone else read our stuff if it's vanilla? We don't want to outsource our voice to someone else in the business. I know it's easy. I know you get busy, but you end up sounding like everyone else and no one reads our stuff because, quite frankly, we're living in an age where most of the content out there is produced by robots or people, juniors, or outsourced to third parties. And it's just vanilla and we don't need any more of that in the world, right? And it kind of defeats the whole purpose of doing this. So let's go the other way. What actually do we want? We want to have an opinion on topics that are relevant to our audience. We want to be consistent. We want to create content that educates and engages people in our unique voice. And we also want the process to be fun, or at the very least not painful for us, so that we actually make the time to do it every single week. Quite frankly, if it's too hard or takes up too much of your time, you will not keep this habit long term, right? So firstly, with that in mind, we need to make the time, right? Once again, remember that you have 3 key things to do as a business owner. Marketing your business is one of those, right? Absolutely important if you are legitimately serious about moving your business forward this year. What you need to work out is what you can actually commit to long term, right? If you're not sure, I would suggest 2 to 4 hours a week is enough to get started, right? Just to build the habit. You then need to block it out in your calendar. I would suggest the mornings are generally best. And you want to make sure you're not going to get interrupted, right? Obviously, turn notifications off your phone, emails, anything that's going to take you out of the zone, turn it off because it takes about 20 minutes. Research has shown it takes you about 20 minutes to actually get into that deep zone where you can produce really good content. So what do you produce and how the hell do you make it effortless? So we've created 8 content buckets for professional services businesses to create content that is interesting, engaging for partners and clients alike. As I said earlier, we just don't want to be saying the same thing over and over again. It needs to be diverse. Now, the 8 buckets are as followed, and I've got an awesome GPT that's going to make this stuff super, super easy, right? We're going to go through that after. But before I show you that, you got to have a bit of context. So I'm going to take you through what the content buckets are. So the first one's industry insights and trends. So this is, here's a couple of examples. Here's what's changing in your sector in 2026. How X regulation will affect property investors, small firms, this year, this quarter, whatever it might be. Client stories and transformations, before and after snapshots, common mistakes I see and how I fix them for my clients. Educational mini tutorials, how-to posts. This is an example of a how-to video right now. How to read your trust deed in 3 minutes. 5 tax traps new real estate investors fall into. Myth busting, what most people get wrong, right? Why most financial advice misses X. Not all legal contracts are equal. Here's how to spot the difference. Opinions and rants. These are actually these will be some of your most read posts because you're going against the grain and people love that. They want to hear something different. Why I disagree with popular advice on topic. The future of property markets is not what you think. Personal and human side. This is tasteful, relevant. What got me into law, what got me into finance, what got me into property. It's basically just showing a face, humanizing yourself in the business. The biggest mistake I made early in my career. Engagement community posts. So you can do things like polls. Which of these rules do you follow? You can do things like ask your audience, what's your biggest challenge in X? Resource. Hopefully, as we're going through this, you're getting some ideas. Resource tools, checklist, shares. What I use to assess deals. My 10-step checklist for document review. All right, guys. So they're the buckets. Now, as I said, we have this awesome GPT, which you'll be able to access around this video. There'll be a link underneath. So I want you to grab that. And we are going to coming up with ideas super, super duper easy. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this once a week. We're going to create 8 ideas. And then out of those ideas, we'll pick between 3 and 5 to do a post on each week. Literally, this is the first thing you do before you create the content just to get the juices flowing. So with that in mind, I'm going to get the GPT out and we can get into it. You need to use this in your browser. If you've got the app, it can go a bit funky. So make sure you're opening that link in your browser. Now, first thing you want to do is just hit this button here. Create my 8 post ideas for this week. Now, it gets to thinking. Cool. Now, it's going to ask you a bit of information first. Before I generate your 8 post ideas this week, please could you confirm 3 quick things so I can tailor the ideas perfectly? What's your industry? What region are you in? Content type. Would you like to focus on timely content, current trends and updates, or evergreen content, always relevant insights? Once I have those, I'll build a full weekly plan of 8 post ideas aligned to your pace rhythm and the digital pipeline style. Pace is just a framework we've got within the business. Complete with hooks, post summaries, formats, goals, and strategy notes. So let's go through this. So I'm going to just say I'm a planner. I'm in Australia. And this will obviously tailor it to whatever region you're in. And I'd like timely content. Now it's going to take a moment, and it's going to come up with a whole heap of different ideas. Now, I want you to pick 3 to 5 of these, and then you're going to branch these out into a fully fledged post to post on LinkedIn, right? And you can also use it to send emails, post across your other social platforms, whatever you want. So let's look at this first one, RBA's next move, what it really means for clients. Everyone's talking about what the RBA will do next, but the real question is, what should you do next, right? The RBA is a government authority in Australia that controls interest rates. Break down the latest Reserve Bank commentary and explain in plain English what this means for everyday investors, borrowers, and retirees, right? Spring clean your finances. 3 quick wins before 2026. We spring clean our homes. Why not our finances? Attract the hidden impact of rising living costs and retirement plans. Should you fix or float? Here's how to think about it in 2025. The most overlooked habit of financially successful clients. Grateful for the clients who've trusted me this year, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, you can see here that you can pick 3 of these topics and then build it out. Cool, guys. Should be pretty helpful. As I said, each week you can just run it. If you don't like it, you can just run it again. You can run it as many times as you want until you get 3 to 5 ideas. Because what happens a lot of the time, what I've observed happen a lot of the time, is people just sit there staring at a blank screen, and it's just hard to get going. So this is really just to get you moving. Now, you can actually get it to produce the post. As I said, I would recommend against that because you start to lose your voice and you start to sound like a robot, which we don't want. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe to our channel, like the video, comment, do all that good stuff. All right, so let's go through the next step, which is what content to actually create. So you're obviously going to create the copy, and then what visual assets are we going to put to it. So if you're shooting a video, we can either use 1:1 or 4:5 portrait. So if you're using your computer, do a 1:1 aspect, or if you're using your phone, use portrait view. So they'll render well on mobile and desktop. You should also try to keep it under 2 minutes just because people have short attention spans. Next, images. Where possible, try to use your own images. They just look authentic. They'll cut through. You don't need to be professionally shot. You can literally just get the pics on your phone as long as they fit with the topic, obviously, and they're of a decent enough quality, right? You can use portrait or landscape images, but square images are the best. Now, if you don't have any images, the next step is to help you create your own images. Before we do that, I'm just going to talk through things to avoid with visuals, right? Common mistakes I see. Firstly, people using stock images of people. You can tell when it's a stock image. It just looks fake. People don't want fake. People want real. Cheesy images, high five, bullseyes, all that sort of stuff. Avoid as much as you can. And anything else that you have seen a million times, just avoid it. Avoid it. You want to cut through. You want to look different, right? So one of the tools that we use a bit is Canva. So let's just have a quick look on Canva. If you haven't used it before, we're going to take you through it, right? So Canva, there's a free, you can use it for free, or there's a small paid subscription. I would start with the free version if you've never used it before. See if you like it. If you do like it, it's worth paying. It's pretty cheap, between $10 and $20 a month to create images for you. It'll just save you a lot of time. So type in here, LinkedIn post, right? And then you're going to get a whole heap of different templates like this below that you can pull and use at any stage. And if you want to create a brand new template, just click here, right? And it appears. So it's in a square format because that's the standard LinkedIn format that we went through a second ago. So as I said, you can choose all these templates down here. The ones that have got this little crown cost you money. The ones that don't are free. So feel free to look at all the templates. And if you like something, you can just click and drag it into this square and then just change the copy and change the images as you want to. If you want a photo, you can just type in here. So let's say we're doing interest rates. Now, there's a lot of cheesy images out there. So you just want something really simple. There's going to be a square. Listen, I don't love that, but let's just do that. So you just click and drag it across. And then all you do is hit the share button and then you can download it, right? And you're done. It's as easy as that. So that's how you create a unique image to go with your visuals. So now we've created the system to easily create consistent LinkedIn posts every single week. So you got no excuses now, guys. I hope that was helpful. So if you're a professional services business and you want more referrals from other businesses, then check out my next video. It should be somewhere around here, how to generate 6 to 12 referrals per month. With that being said, I hope it's useful. If it was, feel free to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.